flying squads, actually, the police force. And I think that's what we have to basically tell the IG, that those groups are subverting the law, abducting people, and so they've got to protect, uphold, and defend the Constitution. That's all basically what we are saying. And for some of us, we have been saying this since the 70s, okay? But I still think that it's the Constitution protects our lives, our properties, and the rights are very clear. If people demonstrate under that 7, the police are the ones who are supposed to protect them, not to tear gas them or use water cannons or live bullets. It's very clear. They should protect the demonstrators, because they might meet another group that wants to deny them, demonstration. And that's why it's their duty, to protect demonstrators so that they exercise that right. And any democratic government should be able to ask itself about the anger of our children, for example. What is the root cause of this anger, right? And they know what are the root causes of this anger. And I think there is nothing in the Constitution that says that if you raise issues and you are angry, you should be killed or you should be, detained.
The residents of Nyali constituency in Mombasa County protested to voice their grievances regarding the controversial 2024-2025 finance bill. The residents marched to the office of the area member of parliament, Mohammed Ali, also known as Jicho Pevu, accusing and blaming him for his support of the controversial bill, which they claim aims to oppress them. Now, the protesters criticized their member of parliament for disregarding their demands and failing to oppose the bill in parliament.
We are the powerful people. Sisi ndio tuko na power mikononi mwetu. We decide who to give the power and who to take away the power. Yes.
People power. People power.
Mohammed Ali, tunataka kumpelekea salamu tu kidogo, atuambie kama sisi wenye tulimpigia kura, because right now we are holding our leaders accountable. Tulimpigia kura, amekuwa vocal when it comes to other things, policies zingine. Why is he silent right now when we need him the most? This is something that is affecting the whole nation, na amenyamaza. Kwa nini amenyamaza? Hatukumuona parliament akivote, na silence inamaanisha unakubaliana na kitu. Kwa sababu kama ukubaliani na kitu, definitely you're going to talk about it. Sasa leo tuko hapa na tunaenda kwa Mohammed Ali. Kesho Tuesday tuko nje wote, and we are calling upon residents of Mombasa. Haijalishi wewe ni nani, tunawaita nyinyi wote. Tumetoka kukaa hapa nje peke yetu. Wale Waswahili tunawaita mjitokeze. This is the time for us to come out in large numbers and do this as a nation. Msipotoka saa hizi, sisi ni wakukuja huku kwenyu. Tunataka nyinyi mkuje kesho. Tuone mabuibui. Tunataka tuone mabuibui kwa wingi. Tunataka kesho tuone mabuibui. Tunataka tuone mabuibui kwa wingi. Tunataka tuone kanzu kwa wingi. Mjitokoze, mkuje mtembe na sisi, madera na nini, everything come out tomorrow in large numbers in solidarity.
Now, protests were also held by Kenyans living abroad in the United States against the finance bill, which was approved by Parliament last week. This led to a rift among citizens and confusion about the bill's second reading at the National Assembly, or third reading, pardon me. Now, they called on President William Ruto to reconsider sections of the bill that significantly harm ordinary citizens, despite the drastic increase in tax rates.
Reject finance bill. Reject finance bill. Reject. Corruption must stop. Corruption must stop. Corruption must stop. We need accountability. We need accountability. We reject oppression. We reject oppression. We reject oppression.
Tunataka kuona kwamba kuna usawa. Tunataka kuona wale wote ambao walipromisiwa ahadi ambazo walikuwa wamepewa zitimizwe. Ni vibaya sana kutumia Biblia. Vifungu vya Biblia eti kwamba nikienda pale nitafanya hili ama lile, lakini hafanyi hayo yote. Kwa hiyo kama diaspora tunaomba kwamba hiyo bill ikataliwe moja kwa moja kwa jumla.
Gen Z oye! If these kids can do what they are doing today, if they can move the mountain, if they can move it to another level, we surrender to them.
Yes.
If they can give the destiny of our country to the future generation, we surrender. But one thing we don't want to know, we don't want to see those MPs that have been elected, those governors that have been elected and defeated, those senators that have been elected and defeated, those MCAs and women rep, they should go away and pave way for young men and women here, right now.
For the 204 MPs that voted for the bill to go through, we'd like to tell you very bravely, without any fear, that we are coming for each one of you. We are going to take you down. And I'd like to tell the Gen Z generation, the youths, our parents, to come together and to go take the signatures and let's take these people out of parliament.
We already know that inside the bill they have sneaked so many things, including 16% of tax increase on remittances. Here in diaspora, most of us send money back home to support because of poor leadership and governance.
Future ya Wakenya, sisi wadogo, iko at risk. Kwa sababu wale tumewaweka pale, wale waliwapigia kura, wameenda pale, zile vitu walikuwa nasema kwa campaign trail, wamegeuka yote.
A very first demonstration hapa kwa Kenya Embassy ilikuwa na mimi. Tulianzia hapa 1990. After Sabasaba, watu wakipigwa wakiuawa. After they were killed, we said no, we cannot stand here as people in diaspora, tunyamaze. Tukaja hapa tukafanya.
Now, similar scenes were witnessed in Lamu County, where residents protested against the 2024 bill and accused some of their leaders who voted in favor for furthering it. The residents used donkeys to protest, carrying banners and stating their controversial bill would economically oppress them if passed. Numerous human rights organizations also participated in these protests.
It is very sad and very shameful to know that our MPs have approved this finance bill, yet 65% of the country is facing period poverty.
Nasema isi wanawake wa Amu, hiyo padi tucheche yao ya kwamba wakizanya Nairobi 200 kwetu ni 400 bila taxi, wakituongezea kasi tutanunua na isi.
Na wale wabunge wa national wote watatu tunawaambia hawana haki ya kujiamulia jambo kwa nafsi zao. Ni lazima waulize sauti ya wananchi. Wananchi mmekubaliana na wabunge wapitishe.
Wabunge wetu, tafadhali mmetuaibisha sana. Na mmebisha hawa vijana ndio waliwachagua. Na sijui ni kitu gani hamwezi kuwasikiliza.
Sisi watu wa Lamu ndio watu ambao tunaumia zaidi na hii bili itakapopita. Wakiwa Nairobi wananunua mkate shilingi 60, sisi tunanunua na 110.
Now, the National Council of Churches of Kenya, NCCK, has urged the central government to listen to the voices of citizens and reconsider the finance bill. The chairperson of the NCCK Kisii branch, Pastor James Mogire, said that despite the amendments made, the council believes that the bill should be redrafted and involve citizens' input to eliminate the prevailing anxiety in the country. The council also called on the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPOA, to expedite investigations of allegations of excessive police brutality during the protests.
We challenge the parliament and the executive to have a Damascus moment, which will give hope to the many people who have lost hope in this country.
Kuna njia nyingi ambazo serikali inaweza tumia na wawe na maongezi ili wapate kusaidia mambo mengi ambayo yanaendelea.
Now, the government has announced the approval of the nationwide protests planned this Tuesday against the 2024 finance bill, provided they are peaceful. The Cabinet Secretary for Interior Security, Kithure Kindiki, in an unusual move, stated that protesters are free to participate As long as they adhere to the law, these protests led by young activists began last week and are expected to intensify this Tuesday, as many have vowed to turn out in large numbers in various cities to push the government to completely scrap the bill, which is seen as oppressive to Kenyans already burdened by heavy taxes.
Katiba ya Kenya inakubalia mtu yoyote kufanya maandamano ya amani bila kujihami. Lakini katiba hiyo hiyo imesema kwamba wakati mtu yeyote anafurahia haki hii ya kibinadamu ambayo iko katika katiba, ni lazima aheshimu haki za wale watu wengine ambao labda hawahusiki na mambo ambayo anafanya. Kwa hivyo katika wakati huu tumepata habari ya kwamba kuna wananchi ambao wangetaka kujieleza na kuandamana, lakini wanapofanya hivyo lazima wazingatie katiba na sheria ya nchi ya Kenya. Wasidhulumu wananchi, wasidhulumu ama kuingilia kazi ya walinda usalama. Vile vile wasiumize miundo misingi ya taifa la Kenya, na vile vile kuna sheria ambazo zinatumiwa katika sehemu maalum ambazo zimelindwa kisheria kwa sababu ya usalama wa taifa, na maafisa wetu wa polisi watawaelekeza ni wapi na wapi hawawezi kufikia, na ni lazima watii amri ambao watapewa na wale ambao ni walinda usalama watakaoelekeza. Wakifuata hiyo sheria, wako na uhuru wa kufanya shughuli yao. It doesn't matter whether you're supporting the demonstrators or you are against the demonstrators. We will treat you as a criminal, and we are going to be very firm and very unapologetic, because we do not want to interfere with our democracy, but at the same time, this country is the only country we have, and the rule of law is the only thing that puts us together and makes us equal and ensures that the weak and the mighty, the big and the small, the powerful and the weak can exercise their freedoms and feel protected under the law.
Now, Jomvu, Member of Parliament Badi Twalib, has commended the youth participating in the protests, and Badi criticized the police for their brutality against peaceful protesters. He also supported the protests, stating that some of the amendments made were meant to deceive Kenyans, while the bill still aims to oppress the ordinary Kenyans.
Kwa sababu hali ni ngumu, na nachukua fursa hii tuko kwenye vyombo vya habari kuwapongeza Gen Zs na kusema kuwa Inspector General aachane na upuuzi wa kushika vijana ambao hawana hatia wakati waki-exercise their democratic right. Hawa vijana wameumia. Leo finance bills zimpita miaka yote. Tujiulize swali, kwa nini hii ndio imeleta fujo? Lazima there is something wrong, ukweli ama uongo? Na jambo jingine ambalo nataka kuiambia serikali. Mshairi mmoja ama mwimbaji mmoja anaitwa Robert Nsamale alisema, you can fool some people sometimes, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. Na leo nikisema hivi na maanisha ya kwa kuwa walieka zile taxes za motor vehicles na zile nyingine walizieka, si kwa kuwa walikuwa nataka kuzieka, walikuwa nataka kuleta confusion ili kisha baadaye waje wazitoe tupate kuwapitishia lile ambalo wanataka kupitisha. Mimi nataka kuambia watoe wasitoe finance bill hatuitaki, tumeipinga na tutaipinga katika siku zote ambazo tunakuja. Kwa hivyo sisi tutasimama na msimamo, na kuona kuwa msimamo wetu ni kwa wananchi wetu. Leo ukiangalia simu hapa kuna message karibu 200 na kila mmoja kwambia mheshimiwa reject this bill. Kila mmoja kwambia mheshimiwa reject this bill. Na sisi tunasema kama viongozi, we are just representatives of the people. Vile watu wanavyotaka ndivyo tutakavyofanya.
Jana nilitumiwa message usiku sana. Na hii message ilitoka kwa kijana simjui. Na akanitumia ujumbe akanambia, mama, tunataka msimamo wako kama kiongozi Kisauni. Wewe una support amendment ama una support rejection of the entire finance bill 2024? I didn't take even half a second. Nikasema I reject the finance bill of 2024.
All right, let's take a look at the newspapers and what is making headlines this morning. The Standard newspaper headlined Tax Rebellion, Ruto's wiggle room shrinks. Tax Rebellion, Ruto's wiggle room shrinks. Now, Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki has warned the youth that action will be taken for demos beyond 6:30 p.m. and if they attempt to access protected areas. However, the youth are not relenting, saying the finance bill being debated today must be dropped. Now, that is a story that is on page 4, 5, 6, and 7 of the Standard newspaper this morning. And in particular, page 4, it talks about the task before MPs, time to drop vacuity and attempt augustness. Now, MPs have done what it looks like Saul to Paul. In reverse, Paul to Saul, from being our representatives to being voting ATMs. Now, the House on the Hill is increasingly being an acronym for hubris, incompetence, lies, and looting. And those are some of the bases of why youths are protesting, or at least why we're witnessing demonstrations. It's not just about the finance bill as voiced out by some of concerned Kenyans, but it's also about incompetence in government, about lies within government, as well as looting within government. Now, you know, what the Standard really puts up is, you know, questioning how the government will be able to approach this and what is the best way for the head of state to calm the situation, and particularly putting in mind that this is a generation of young kids called Gen Z who have protested, or at least this is the face of this protest, and unlike, you know, opposition protests where there's always a leader, for this particular protest, there's no leader. It's sort of a faceless, you know, tax revolt, and a question of now, who do you talk to, or who should the government now talk to? And perhaps that explains the wave of abductions that we've witnessed in the country, where influencers, digital influencers, persons that have voiced, you know, their rejection of this bill, that are being mysteriously, you know, taken by persons that we cannot really say who they are. And so that is the task ahead for the government. But for the members of parliament, of course, who bear the biggest responsibility this Tuesday, as they will be voting on clause by clause on this particular finance bill. So we'll have a deeper discussion around this with my guests in studio. Also, Gen Z is ready to storm and camp at parliament, but will they make it that far with the heavy security that is expected this morning? Also, a tale of Kenya leaders display opulence, local struggle with bills. Known for his taste for finer things, the president was not in sport, or was in a sport, pardon me, for the charter flight to the US. On the flip side, a portrait of despair was painted on streets over tough economic times, even as youth seek to unseat members of parliament backing the finance bill. So that is the headline on the Standard this morning. Also, first batch of Kenyan security officers off to Haiti. President William Ruto addressed 400 police officers set for the United Nations-led peace mission in Haiti during the pre-mission briefing at the National Police College. Well, they left the country, and it is expected that 1,000 is the number, so 600 more to go. Now to the Daily Nation, Ruto's options. What options does he have in the wake of these protests? 1, borrowing more. Amended bill is passed, but state borrows more to fill budget deficit. 2, increasing taxes. President can reverse pledge to do with some taxes, which is one of the bases why we're witnessing protests. Number 3, slashing budget. Treasury can slash budget in line with the amended finance bill, and that is what we've seen. A couple of ministries or sectors, including the JSS teachers, the medical interns, State House itself, have had a slash of the budget, just proposal, not an act yet. And also, final option is to withdraw the bill. Kenya Kwanza can withdraw the bill for a fresh start. So those are the 4 key options that the head of state has. But, you know, from the latest, you know, what we are hearing, allies of the president and the president himself is perhaps rejecting the bill could be, you know, a faraway decision that will be made and not likely to be made, despite the fact that that is what the people who are protesting want. And so we'll also keenly interrogate these 4 options that the president has and what impact it has and what it means for Kenya's society. But also, all the Daily Nation, move grades 8, 9 to high school. Principals have asked the Ministry of Education to split junior secondary school learners between primary and secondary schools by moving grade 8 and 9 to high school. Then now to the Star newspaper, cops to cordon off State House and Parliament. Cops to cordon off State House and Parliament. Security think tank blame crisis on poor government communication. Security think tank blame government on poor government communication. And that is a story that is on page 2, where it is expected that heavy security will be deployed around Parliament and around State House to keep protesters off. And the anti-riot police were last night bracing themselves for energy-sapping battles with demonstrators hell-bent on occupying Parliament in protests against high taxation. But even as the Gen Z protesters ready to pour into the streets in all major towns today, detectives have struggled without success to unmask the masterminds marshalling the youth into such a potent political force. The government is scrambling to find who is sponsoring this protest, even though protesters themselves have set up numbers that, you know, have been out on public domain that are, you know, they are contributing. Some of them are offering themselves to provide various services like medical services on the streets, but the government still, you know, if you listen into Dr. Isaac Mwaura, who's the government spokesperson, who has relayed that there could be international hands that are sponsoring these particular demonstrations. Secretary General for UDA Party, Cleophas Malala, says non-governmental organizations are funding this protest. And also recently, Senator Samson Cherargei said, you know, Azimio are behind this particular protest. So we'll interrogate all this in our conversation in just a bit, but those are the headlines on the newspapers this morning. Star speaks of cops to cordon off State House and Parliament. Daily Nation speaks of Ruto's options, as well as the standard tax rebellion. Ruto's wiggle room shrinks. All right, so at that point, allow us to take a quick breather, but when we come back, I'll be joined in studio by John Mukoya from the Movement for Defense of Democracy, MDD, as well as Willis Koy, who's a government expert, so that we can interrogate some of these options that the head of state really has. What is the practicability of it? What impact does it have on this particular regime? as well as the nature of these protests, really. Generation Z or youthful protesters on the streets protesting against the finance bill. Is this an unprecedented moment in Kenya's history? And, you know, the creativity and the digital influence it has as well. So that conversation returns in a bit. Stay with us. Keep your feedback coming in across our social media platforms. Your thoughts, questions, comments, we'll sample them when we get back. Stay with us. We have seen across the country. So the Occupy Parliament protests that began last week have extended to today, and we're expecting that protesters in various locations countrywide, in various counties, will be taking to the streets in rejection of the Finance Bill 2024. Will members of Parliament listen? That is the big question this morning. So to help us further discuss about this, I'm joined in studio on my immediate right by Willis Koi, who's a governance expert. Thank you for your company this morning, Willis.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. And just next to him is John Mukoya of Movement for Defense of Democracy. Thank you very much, Mukoya, for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Right. You know, what an unprecedented time we are right now in the country. What an important day it is. On the other hand, members of Parliament, you know, will be debating about this bill and voting on some of these clauses that were amended by the Finance Committee of the National Assembly. And on the other hand, we've got Gen Zs on the streets demonstrating they want a total rejection of the bill without amendment. Your overview of this particular finance bill, are they justified to protest against some of the proposals that have been put up by the government, Willis?
Thank you so much for having me this morning. And from your question and judging by my appearance and look, you already know what I'm about to tell you in solidarity.
No, I don't.
You already know I'm about to tell you to reject and not amend. Because there comes a time when something is beyond repair. And that is what we have in this finance bill. It is beyond repair. The bad is more than the good that it is in the bill itself. You get? So when something, it doesn't cost so much, and it won't even harm the president. Actually, it will raise his dignity as the president of Kenya for having listening to the people, and specifically the majority and the biggest shareholders of this country, who are the young people, the Gen Zs who are now planning to be in the streets anytime, any moment soon from now.
Right.
Because we have seen and we've seen regularly and often that this is a government that is not listening. Despite the warnings that we had given them, despite the prior information we had given them, we even leaked the MP's numbers so that people could tell them directly, but still they didn't listen and went ahead and voted the finance bill. So until the day that the government will learn to listen to the people, that is the day that we will stop demonstrating.
As Willis, what is it about the bill? Or what are some of the proposals about the bill that you do not agree with, that you do not like?
Everything.
There has to be something specific, Willis.
Specifically, that's why we are here for reject and not amend. We are rejecting the whole bill as it is. We are rejecting the whole bill as it is. You know, if 80% of something is bad, we can't say that we want now to make the 20% cover up for the 80. No, that is specifically what we are trying to get away with everything that is in that bill. That they're trying to tell us that they will not change even the commas and the full stops. Everything that is affecting Wananchi right now, it should be rejected.
Mukoya, yes. The government, in its defense, says it has listened to the people, and that is why they amended some of these controversial clauses that were in the finance bill, including the proposed 16% VAT, which was dropped. Transportation of sugar VAT was dropped. Financial services VAT was dropped. Even the excise duty on oil was dropped. And they amended the bill, to which they say they have listened. They did public hearings, over 500 public hearings. They say they listened. Shouldn't that be enough?
I think this is a rogue government. There was a time last year when I was here on your show, and I clearly told you that when you talk about 16% has been dropped on what? If William Ruto is not lying, he's flying. Those are things that he has done all the time. Why do people have to die? Did the Rex have to die and Evans to die for the government to say that it has listened? The government had the opportunity to withdraw this bill even before, even that second reading or the so-called first reading. We why should the government wait for the Gen Zs to go on the streets for it to listen? This is not a listening government. It has never been, and it is not going to be. Unless our president, it's not my president per se, it is the president. For those who voted for him, I never voted for him.
The Republic of
and as much as he is doing what he's doing, unless he's telling us this is not his bill, and the way he has made us start believing that for sure, as it's being said outside there, it's IMF pushing him to ensure that this bill goes through. It is making us believe so, because you cannot say that the whole republic is out crying for you to reject this bill. You said it was Gen Z. It's not now Gen Z alone. Their fathers and their mothers are out crying and saying that let this bill be dropped. All Kenyans cannot be fools that across today the whole country will be demonstrating. They can't be, and it can't be. This government was used to narrowing down anything that is said to be political. This is not political. These are Kenyans saying that we do not need this bill. That's why I've asked my friend that what does he see in this bill? What is it? It is not nothing of the sort. We are not talking about anything in this bill. And that's why you have heard, we are Movement for Defense of Democracy, an affiliate to Azimio. We have said that even our members who had any proposal to change on that bill or amendment should drop that amendment. We do not want to be party of anything on this bill, because by you amending it, it will mean that you are going to be part and parcel of actually frustrating the Kenyans who are already suffering. So we don't need anything. It is reject, not amend. Let us agree on that. That what is good we are saying. We did not tell them to go and sit in State House and announce that they've dropped this, they've dropped that, they've dropped that. Why did they have to put it in the first place? Who came up with this idea of ensuring that we have these taxes in that bill? That is what we want to know, Nancy.
What is the Cynthia? What is the likelihood? What is the likelihood of that happening, considering that the majority of members of parliament are from the Kenya Kwanza coalition, and you know there seem to have been a specific direction from the UDA party on how members of parliament should vote, and there's even a threat to crack whip on some of these members, according to the SG Cleophas Malala, that they should not go against the party. And so, what is the likelihood of rejecting the bill happening, considering that already there's a minority?
I want to answer you, Cynthia, that it's not about the 2 or 4 members of parliament who are the majority. It's the Kenyans who are the majority. We elected them. Whatever thing they go and do there, even if they want to pass this bill, let them pass it. But Kenyans have said no. They shall meet the wrath of Kenyans when they come back on that ground. It's not about... Kenyans have come out and have said we do not need this bill. Let the 2 or 4, the so-called majority, go and pass this bill. We do not care. But Kenyans have said we do not need the bill. So let them pass and face the wrath of Kenyans on the ground. Yes. Definitely, you say that the SG has said, the SG Malala in Uda has told them to not to go against the party. The party was a vehicle for that member of parliament to be elected. But the member of parliament is responsible to those people who elected him or her. Those are the same people who have the mandate to ensure that this member of parliament still remain there or go home. And currently there's a clause that the High Court has actually passed in and given us the mandate to ensure that some of these members are recalled. After these demonstrations, we shall be dealing with those members, like in Kakamega where I come from, people like Shinali, people like Wangwe, people like Naika should prepare, because it's not going to be easy. Don't take this generation, the Gen Z, and think that it's going to be easy for these members of parliament as we move forward. Pass the bill, no problem. But we have said we do not need the bill.
Right. I'll come back to you, Mukoi, in just a bit so that we can speak about this recalling of MPs.
Yes.
But Koi,
yes.
I mean, it sounds like a simple math, you know. Yeah. The electorate are saying, reject the bill. Why don't you just reject the bill? Shouldn't that be the thinking of Kenya Kwanza MPs? 204 members of parliament voted yes for this bill. Should it just be that simple math, you know? They do not want it, reject it.
No, the problem here in this country is the politicians are trying so much to be loyal to their masters, and they're forgetting that their real masters are the people who voted for them in the ground. If you hear Cleophas Malala carelessly talking the way he has been talking all along, that you be loyal to the party, for heaven's sake, you're not there to represent the party, you are there to represent the people You are an MP of such and such constituency, not an MP of UDA party. You are elected by the people of that constituency. So to hear the Secretary General of a ruling party recklessly speaking and talking out things that are not supposed to be said, it's that is disloyalty to the people. And you know what the people say about disloyalty to people? Disloyalty to people is loyalty to Satan. You know, when you don't talk, because people are made in the image of God. So if you're not loyal to people, it means you're not loyal to God. So even if the ruling party that has been moving around and showcasing in godly manner, you want to tell me, for heaven's sake, that you're passing a budget of around 4 trillion and you have this everything budgeted for and even calamities, but when there's such calamity, for instance, we had it is on record, when we had floods, the president himself took a chopper or whatever means he used to get to Mahimai to go and pray with the bereaved of the people affected by the floods. And we have a budget for these specific things. You know, that Kenya as a nation right now, we don't have a problem with the revenue. Revenue is not our problem. We have a problem with the expenditure.
How do we cut down on the expenditure? How should we cut down on the expenditure?
We need to remove unnecessary expenditure. Like, why should I fly out more than 50 times in a year as the president? What am I looking for? Why should I involve so many people? Why should I create so many unconstitutional offices? Why should I create the office of the unconstitutional office and budget for it at the office of the first lady? What is that? What are you even saying? So you want to tell me that two families now, they are bagging more than $1 billion in a month for that is taxpayers' money? You want to tell me a house that was built cumulatively costed 400 million, you want to renovate it at 600 million? What is that? So we just built for you another house then? You know, the problem with this government is thinking that Kenyans are still primitive. The number of stupid people in Kenya is increasingly decreasing. That is one thing that they should know, and they should not take it as just as a mere joke. And we are here to tell them that if they won't listen, we will make them listen. There's a phrase that is used to say that if negotiation fails, we use iskus. When you lack option, iskus is the best way to go.
Right, Mukoya, the 3 biggest roles of an MP is to oversight, to represent, to legislate. But on representation, they seem to have a shortfall. As well as oversight, they seem to have a shortfall on that. Has Parliament been captured?
Do we really have a parliament in Kenya as we speak?
We have the 13th Parliament.
The 13th Parliament that is already captured. If for you to know that my question, I've said sarcastically that we do not have a parliament, is because there is nothing that has gone in Parliament. And we have seen parliamentarians saying no to it. As long as that thing emanates from State House, it goes through. It means that this parliament has been captured. It means that this parliament is all about rubber stamping. It is anything that comes, they don't even read it. They don't even know what they're doing. As long as they're from this particular side of divide, which is government, they're going to vote for it. And they will vote for it and ensure, like the other day, you had the last bill when Osoro was saying that I'm going to go to Parliament and buy some of these MPs, and they are going to vote for the bill. We are telling them that the President, William Ruto, the people have rejected you. They have rejected your bill. The church has left you. The youths have left you. Everybody has left you. Just listen to them. You have asked about how do we cut on expenditure. It's not about cutting on the expenditure. There is corruption. The president who left, Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta, said that we are losing 2 billion every day in this country. The 2 billion can build a level 4 hospital in every county if we decided that we need a level 5 hospital and equip it in every county. So cutting down on expenditure is also cutting down on corruption. These people, what they are doing, that anything that the former president left, they must restart it for them to get a kickback. Anything, even the new seats that were left in State House, they must go so that other seats can be bought. Rigathi Gachagua on the other side, the vice president, in his house, which has not even lasted for even more than 20 years, is renovating it. Renovating it where? Because when this vice president leaves, the house is normally painted. What is it being renovated for? Then you come and say that how do we cut on this? Cutting on expenditure is telling Dorcas and Rachel that this money you are receiving, over $1 billion, can be used to these children who are affected by floods to ensure that they are in school, books are there, and everything is working for them. Our president seems to actually be in love of stealing. I think it is stealing. His people are also stealing. Sincere, which expenditure are we talking about when one Sunday someone walks in a church and contributes 20 million? And then you tell these Gen-Zs who are on the streets that they cannot get help. They have to go through a rigorous application of help for them to get. Some of them are not even eating lunch in the afternoon. How will they fail to get to the streets? You have lied to their fathers, you have lied to their mothers, you have lied to their uncles, you have lied to everybody in their home. Now they are the only hope that you cannot lie to them, because they can access and they are informed and they can read and they can know what is happening since.
Right. Earlier on you spoke about recalling members of parliament,
yes.
And that is something that it has really come out from some of the persons that are demonstrating, and they say, you know, these members of parliament that voted yes, we're actually going to recall, and they say they're not going to wait for 2027. And so it's a long process of recalling members of parliament, and it will need the IEBC as well. But at the moment, the IEBC in itself is not properly constituted. And so already there's a gap on just what are some of the reactions that will come, you know, after this bill. Because if you look at Kenya's history, there's a possibility that this bill will go through because of the majority, definitely. And so what next? If this bill goes through, what next?
No. Number one, it is not hard to recall the MPs. You know, when they don't want to use the system, we also will not use the system to recall them. Revolution does not need invitation or permission. We do not need the permission of the IEBC when we feel that someone is sleeping on his job. If that is what is called for, then trust you me and believe you me that the Gen-Zs are very ready. We are very ready to help this country. We cannot watch our country go to pits as we are still here. We cannot allow the future generation to come and blame us for the mistakes that we saw and we did not do anything about it. We do not want to be part of that, at least for the sake of the future generation. We do not want to be part of poor governance. We do not want to be part of impunity. We do not want to be part of primitivity and all those sorts of everything that these people think that we are. Number one thing is that the first thing that this government should know is that they're dealing with very dangerous people. Number one, these are young people who do not have jobs. So number one, they're very idle. Number two, these are the same people that even if they're trying to create their jobs, you are trying to take even that small money that you have failed to give them jobs. They're trying to think, that is now when you're trying to tax the creativity. It means like you are telling me to pay to think. What is the essence of my brain then? I cannot do something extraordinary just because it will come from my money. You don't know the expenses that I'm going, you don't know the time that I'm investing in all this, and then you want to come and take the money as if it was just there laying for you. And then worst of it all, you are telling me that you want to give a deputy president an audited, unaccountable 800 million for private purposes. I mean, who is fooling who? And let me tell you one thing for sure. Going by the 2019 census, and now it has increased, the number of the youth, or the number of the young people in this nation is very high, standing at 75%. The ratio of the police to the citizen and the ratio of police to the civilians is 1 to 10,000 or 20,000. So if it calls for that, trust me, even you saw on Saturday tweet at X Space, since morning, it was where have you ever seen a group self-mobilized, self-motivated, 60,000 staying on an X Space discussing about the economy of the country? This is a group that is very determined, by the way. And even the jokes that the police are putting around and abducting people, we want to tell them to stop. They should stop that nonsense that they are pushing around of abducting young leaders who are trying to speak out for the sake of other Kenyans. No, that joke should stop. And those are some of the things that when we try to peacefully demonstrate and air our views, you try to instill force. Now that is when we want us to use force, and we are very ready for that as well.
Right. Mukoya, you can only recall an MP 2 years after they've finished their term in office, and at least not less than 12 months before the next election. And that, if you do the math, they got into office on August 16th. That means from August 16th, 2024 is when they will be able to recall members of parliament. But it's a long process that, if it goes to the end, that means there has to be a by-election that has to be conducted by IEBC. But one of the issues raised was that IEBC in itself is not properly constituted at the moment. Even if you are to recall an MP, what is the viability that it will see through the end, that they will be recalled?
Cynthia, recalling an MP, and you should not just peg it to the normal recalling of that MP. We can still recall you and you'll still be there. We make the ground ungovernable for you. And that's what we are going to do, because we know that you have the loopholes of having an IBC not in place. Cynthia, do you know that if we make the ground that you cannot step on your ground, we have already recalled you? That we just make like in Huisero, where Aseka comes from, that Aseka cannot step on the ground. We shall have already recalled him. He stays here in Nairobi. He just operates from parliament to his house in Nairobi, parliament to his house in Nairobi. But those people who elected him in Huisero to ensure that they have recalled him. And at the end of the day, we know we have those loopholes, and that's why this government is not concerned about ensuring that we have institutions in place to ensure that other things are working. First of all, you look at a government that has ensured that no institution is functioning or is captured. Parliament is captured. Go to the judiciary, we don't even know what is happening there. We are not against the taxes, as we are being told. But which factory has William Ruto created to ensure that we have our young people being employed there to increase the tax base? All these countries we are being compared to, I don't know, by flying out, our president always flies out. I don't know if he's comparing us with Korea and all those other countries that have actually industries and have a large tax base. Those are the things we are talking about. This Gen Zs on the streets is not all about the tax. It's not all about the finance bill. They're asking you have taken us to school, where are the jobs? You promised us you will give us the jobs, where are the jobs? You are taxing their parents, you are taxing the child. Look at that other thing called the SHIP, the other medical thing of Nahumicha. There's a clause in it saying that if your child is 18 years and staying at home, that child, he or she is going to pay 300 shillings. Someone who is not working, since you have 10 children, like where I come from in Kakamega, like someone will have like 20 children. Now 300 times 20 per month. How much will be that? These impunity taxes that are being imposed on these people is what people are talking about. And we are saying and advising our president that we withdraw the finance bill. There is nothing that stops him from withdrawing this finance bill, and we shall continue with the finance bill that we have been having, which is currently there. Why is this that happened, that this is the best thing?
Alternatively, they can create a new one.
They can also create a new one.
What are the ripple effects of a bill being pulled down? Because Musalia Mudavadi says that's like a vote of no confidence to the government.
That is Musalia because he's in office. He's protecting his office. There's not, even if, but that is true. People don't have what are you saying? Is it a massive bill to should be? People don't have confidence in this government. That is the truth. Even if Musalia said it 100 times and went to inside those where the president come from. No, Musalia Mudavadi himself know that people do not want this government.
Actually, it will build more confidence in this government. Yeah. It will earn him respect for listening to the people.
How so? You've rejected a finance bill, for that matter, of a government that should basically, give directions on how a financial year should run.
Because it is impunity.
It is impunity. It's not about, it's not to reject it. Like right now, Cynthia, may I ask you, don't we have a finance bill in place?
We do.
We do. Why is it a matter that it must be this one?
And even considering the last finance bill, was it implemented to that?
It wasn't.
Well, we missed the revenue target, and
Missed the revenue target through what? There are things that are making us not meet the revenue target. One, which is being corruption. We have said, can you fill the loopholes of corruption and have the revenue collected? Now, if you miss the revenue target, now you want to tax us to the bone for you to ensure you have the revenue.
When you want to collect revenue, you don't increase the tax. You increase the tax base. We should focus on manufacturing so that we can employ more people, so that many people can pay more tax. When you have to tax someone, one person, in a household of 6, and we only have one person who is employed, how are the other 5 people supposed to be surviving? How about if we had all these people, we have business for them, and all of them are paying taxes, and all of them are supporting their livelihoods? Don't you think we'll be collecting more tax compared to what? Because what will happen? Many people will evade paying taxes now. That's what the government is trying to tell people. Evade paying taxes. Because you find, for instance, if you are earning, basically, let's say for instance, 50,000.
Yeah.
And you get all the deductions done and subjected and going by everything, if this finance bill is implemented and put in place, trust me, you as an individual will be working home with less than 10,000. That is your money that you've worked so hard for, waking up very early every day, Monday to Friday, the rest of the month. For what? Is it worth it? And then you're telling me you want to give someone 12 million for Wi-Fi. Does it make any logical sense? You want to give State House 12 billion.
Cynthia,
yes.
Just on what my brother is saying, are you aware that there are people who work in town and earn 15,000 a month? Our girls in those hotels who are doing waiter and 15,000, then money is deducted from that amount, they remain with 12,000. That person, where you say, then you do fare at around 3,500. That person remains with around 6,000. So you are sending her or him to stay in which estate in the city? Probably, where are you sending that person to stay? Our young girls, how will she, if let's say she was staying in a 10,000 house, how does she top up that amount? You have taken our young people into depression, and at home, she's expected or he's expected to send something to the father or the mother or other siblings. They are saying, our child is in Nairobi. Nairobi doing what?
Working. Working for what?
You know, since I don't know, our president said he was a hustler. I do not understand if he really he knew what he was talking about, a hustler. And if he has experienced the life of a hustler. Hustlers in Nairobi, the real hustlers in Nairobi, where we are heading at the moment right now, that these young people, you have educated them, some even did the short courses and decided, because of family issues, got any job and started doing, and the same money you are paying them is being taxed to the core. Will they not come out to demonstrate? They will come out in numbers. Their fathers do not have money, their mothers do not have money, they are also being taxed. Like Wewe, you are staying in Nairobi with your father and your mother when you are walking to work. How that frustration implies on the child and the parents, they are going to come out to demonstrate. Not today alone, they will come out tomorrow, they will come out. And the government should be aware that this generation they are dealing with is going to explode, leave alone the finance bill. They are going to have a problem with this. And any leader who is going to vote again today or tomorrow for this bill, stay knowing that those people who elected you, they are not fools. I'm very happy, person, as I sit here, Cynthia, that I've done demonstrations last year. When I was doing demonstrations last year with Baba Raila Amolo Odinga, and my youth could be killed before me, we could be maimed and everything, I saw it. And even they wanted to kill him along this road. Now it's not about Baba. It's about the young people. It's about the people in their country and the majority. Now, Kenya Kwanza have nobody to blame. They have lost even the ideas to contain the demonstrations. Let them contain the demonstrations by just doing a favorable thing, withdraw the bill. Then now we'll go on the table and start talking about issues that are continuing to affect the young people.
Right. I'd love us to speak about government's response to these demonstrations. And initially we saw sort of like a blame game. You know, Kimani Ichung'wah was the majority leader, said those are just posh demonstrators, you know, they get to town via Uber with iPhones. We also heard from Senator Samson Cherargei, who said Azimio, and I'd love you to it was Cherargei actually.
Cherargei, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
And I'd love you to respond to that. And he said Azimio are hiding behind these protesters and are financing them. We also saw Secretary General for UDA Party, Cleophas Malala, say non-governmental organizations are funding this protest. Government spokesperson Isaac Moura says international forces are behind this protest. I mean,
Gatundo South MP said Illuminati is sponsoring the.
All right, see, more and more. But Mukoya, is Azimio behind this protest in some way, one way or the other, funding or mobilizing? Are they behind any of these protests?
Cynthia, as I sit here, I'm known in the whole country that I'm among those young people who are in Azimio, and to be specific in ODM, who have led demonstrations in this country. Last year, I was on the forefront. In these demonstrations we are having right now, I'll say here and repeat that we are not involved in anything. The young people have come out to go on the street to demonstrate on the finance bill. If we were involved, Cynthia, there'd be no country as we are speaking right now. And they should not dare us to join the Gen Zs in the demonstrations. Cherengei has always had his filthy mouth every time, and I'm sorry to use such words. Anytime Cherengei sees anything, he feels it's Azimio. Even if Cherengei needs to eat lunch, he will think it is Azimio, and to be specific, he thinks that it's ODM. We have some people on that side of government who suffer from hate and suffer from some malady that has driven them for them to be elected. They have lacked anything to blame. Now, if they have lacked anything to blame on the Gen Zs, ask any Gen Z that have you ever met as any Azimio leader, they will tell you no, not at any time.
And just to...
Yes.
Yeah. As you answer that, Koim,
yes.
Is it so hard for political leaders to believe that Kenyans themselves can lead protests by themselves without having a backhand financing or pushing for this protest?
The problem with the Kenyan leaders is that they always think that the Kenyans are stupid. And they should write off that mentality out of their mind. Cherengei, who is speaking, his neighboring county was in Gishu. We saw the protest that was there in Eldoret. Yes. That is the stronghold of UDA. We saw what happened in Kericho. Even stronghold of UDA. We saw what happened in the entire Rift Valley. Yes. These people are recalling their own president, who is their kinsman. The president of Republic of Kenya, who is hailing from Uasin Gishu, who has been a member of parliament for Eldoret North. We saw what happened in his stronghold, per se. So you cannot come there shamelessly and start saying that Azimio is involved or anything. This is not about Azimio. We've seen these kids and these Gen Zs mobilizing themselves on TikTok and X Spaces and social medias. My friend, we do not need someone to sponsor you when you are being infiltrated or you are being
fighting for your rights.
Fighting for your rights. You do not need a sponsor for you to stand up for yourself. When something is bad, you say it's a no, you say it's as it is. And that is, one thing the government is forgetting. This is the generation that was banning schools just the other period when they were in high school.
Yes.
This is a generation that they used to confront people. They're the people who, the government that told them to stand up for their rights when they were still kids. This is the same generation that was introduced to children's rights when they were still in school. It's the same generation that have been taught activism since they've been kids. It's the same generation that we are teaching them about equality and we're not practicing about it. Do you think we are fools? We are not fools. It is the same generation that we can mobilize ourselves. And trust me, the ideas and the brains behind these Gen Zs, it's something that even the government cannot reckon with. It is something that the government should be pleading for us to give them the ideas on how we're going to run this economy if they so wish. But due to their ego, I don't think if they're willing to do that.
And yes, only Ichungwa should know that people have to arrive at a place through a certain mode of transport.
Be it Uber,
What is wrong by me boarding Uber? What is wrong by the Gen Zs boarding Uber? They must eat. What is wrong by... Does Ichungwa mean that this Gen Zs never eat in KFC, even during when we don't have mandamano? Ichungwa should understand this Gen Zs, that KFC is surviving because of these Gen Zs, Pizza Inn is surviving because of this. Since there is no time, me and you will wish to go to town and say that we want to go to Pizza Inn. No! When you reach town, at your age, Cynthia, you are not interested in KFC and pizza. Ichungwa should understand this is a generation. And this generation, those KFCs Pizza Inn. It's meant for them. This is a generation that, how much is Uber? If they were supposed to get from Kilimani to town, and the matatu is paying 50 shillings, and the Uber is paying 200. They can get to an Uber, 4 of them, and get to town. It is still 200. Why is it? Yes, they are looking for comfort. These are children that you have given them comfort since they started. Now they need the comfort. The comfort is the Uber. So Ichungwa, leave our children alone. They can use whatever they can use. So they will even come with a plane. There is no harm in doing so, as long as they have arrived in the area where they are supposed to have the demos. Right. The issue is arriving to the place. You should also remember that some of those Gen Zs also walked in town. Why is he not talking about those who walked in town? Having an iPhone is part and parcel of life. We have those who have iPhone, and still we have those Gen Zs who still have Mulika Mwizi. Life is not equal to every person. Why is the Chungwa thinking they need an iPhone for them to have good pictures, to have good recording of the police beating them up, and document what is happening?
Just a minute before I come to you, Koi. Unfortunately, we've seen a wave of abductions in the country. Yes. Yeah. And unfortunately to say as well that 2 deaths have been reported in the country due to the protest. And in fact, Mukwa, I saw you at Rex Kanike Masai's home. Yes. And, you know, sounds like that's the cost of demonstrations in this country, that a life has to be lost, and which is so unfortunate and so sad. And if you look at this, you know, circumstances around it, it was a peaceful and armed protester. But if you even look back at the Azimio protesters, when we saw a lot of lives that have been lost, and it sounds like in every demonstration a life has to be lost. What are we missing as a country? What are the security forces missing, Mokoya?
The security forces are stopped being a service as such. When we were doing demonstrations in Azimio, it was said maybe we were armed, maybe we were destroying property, as it was insinuated. There was no property that was being destroyed then. And also there was no property that was being destroyed the other day. You saw me at Rex's home. It is a sad story. The father tells us that this boy had gone to work, and after work, he only came to town to join his friends who are also agitating for their rights, for the finance bill. And the boy is shot. Now, the security forces in this country is blood hungry. And I'm saying and I'm requesting that the security forces, if they are not killing, they are abducting. And kindly the security forces. And if you'll allow me just to read Cynthia, yes, and make a humble request to the security forces that we are requesting the security forces. They abducted Gabriel Oguda just the other day. Just yesterday, this morning, yeah. We are requesting them to release Gabriel Oguda. We are also requesting them to release Shadrach. We are requesting them to release, we have Osman, Osama Otiero. We are requesting to release Dre. We are requesting to release all those people that they have abducted. By holding those people, you are igniting these demos more. Because it will reach a time where people are going to say that if it's all about abduction, you are setting the people against the security forces. Why do we have to abduct? And then don't give us stories that you're going to abduct one child of a senior officer in government for us to think that it's a normal thing that is happening. We know all the tricks that are happening in this government. Currently, by abducting those people, you are only igniting and fueling the fire more. Can you be a police service and stop being a police force? William Ruto, you promised us when you were campaigning that there shall be no more abductions. But we have seen the trend continue. Why lie? If you are not lying, you are flying, Mr. President. Can you stop the lies? You are holding this government today. Nobody else is in government. You are the commander-in-chief. And these abductions have been mandated by you. The buck is going to stop on the door of Mheshimiwa William Ruto. Not even Koome. Because if Mheshimiwa William Ruto told Koome to tell the police force to stop this abduction, it's going to stop. It's a humble request that Kenyans are only just speaking. Kindly allow Kenyans to speak and stop the abduction. You are causing more harm to those families. You are causing more harm to young people. You are causing more harm to the country. Right.
Koyo, if you look around social media, even in public forums as well, there's a lot of anxiety because of the abductions. the Constitution is under threat because Article 37 of the Constitution gives that right to picket. We've also got freedom of speech, freedom of expression in the Constitution. If you do not agree with the government, you are at liberty to say so. But with the wave of abductions, I believe about 10 people this morning are still missing. Their whereabouts are unknown. I mean, how should the government respond to this? Because people are seeking for answers from the government.
I want to correct my friend and my brother here. We are not requesting. We are demanding for their release.
Thank you.
We are demanding for... It is not... We should not live by request and bending down for everyone.
They should be released.
No, we want them released. Within the next 30 minutes, they should be joining us in town as we protest for the reject of this finance bill. And we need them there. They should be escorted with the police who abducted them to that protest. Because for how long, Cynthia, are we going to live begging and begging on our knees every day? If you try to speak out something that is affecting you, that is affecting 90% of these people, that you're being silenced. Since when? And then it is the same people who will be taking pulpits and platforms and podiums congratulating how mature our democracy is. What is the maturity of democracy if a simple right as freedom of expression you cannot respect that is constitutional? We want to tell the government, we want to tell the police themselves that joke should stop, and we demand the release of the abducted youth of this country, the patriotic youth of this nation. And if they don't want to give them out to us, we will go and fetch them wherever they are. We have intel.
All right, gentlemen, we've got 4 minutes to wrap it up, so I'd love to get your final views. I'll go back to this starting point where we began this conversation, because all eyes will be at Parliament, where members of Parliament, are set to either reject as you want or amend these clauses within the Finance Bill 2024.
But there's no need to amend. It's reject automatically.
Well, we'll see what happens, but all eyes will be at that Parliament. And, the whole country really is on the brink of anxiety and watching, and they really want to see what happens. What do you expect? Because you say you expect a total rejection. But if that does not happen, what next? Final word as we wrap it up.
We want to tell the government that for once be a listening government. Since you've decided you're not going to listen to anyone, now the youth have decided that you must listen to us, and we are not going to beg for our rights. We are not going to plead for our rights. We are not going to plead for what is rightfully ours and what we should be having, and that is freedom of expression, that is freedom and all the rights that are there constitutional. What you are going to be against is the impunitive taxes that you are trying to impose on us. We are going to reject the impunitive and a bilingual governance that you are trying to impose on us. And if, for heaven's sake, it doesn't cost so much to ask for guidance wherever you feel you're misguided. It doesn't cost you anything to consult with the young people, but whatever, I heard him the other day say that we are ready to talk and he's welcoming us to talk. We will only come to that table immediately this bill has been rejected, and we'll help you formulate a better bill that will help us run this country. Right.
Mukoya, if given a chance for youths to have a conversation with the president, and he said he'd love to talk to the Gen Z, but who does he talk to really? Should the youths now be involved in the formulation of this bill, and at what capacity as we wrap it up?
The youths actually are informed and they should be involved. The president said that he doesn't know who to talk to. These youths have been there. They're the same people who voted for him when he was talking about the hustlers and running around the country. Border. Those are the youths we are talking about. And the same youths are saying that he lied to them. So he knows where to get them, and he knows how to involve them if he wanted to involve them. He doesn't want to involve them, and he's lying. He just doesn't want to involve them. He's just panicked because the youths have come out and said, no, this one has to happen like this. I'm making a humble request to our president that as he travels outside this country, to those countries that he goes around, he should learn some manners from those countries. One, those countries have democracy. Two, those countries listen, and there's freedom. When he runs around those countries, he doesn't meet those presidents that have abducted the youth for them speaking. As he moves around, he should also copy some good manners from those countries and come and govern this country in the right way. Right. Secondly, the youths are ready to listen to the president when he's not gagging the parliament, when he could allow that parliament to be a parliament. And those other MPs who are there, who are loyal to their masters, they can continue being loyal to their master. But to the country and to the youths of this country, I want to tell you, it's not about the opposition, it's not about the government. It's about those people you elected to represent you. You have all seen that this bill is going to affect you, not on tribal lines, but it's going to affect you as a country, as a Kenyan people. Right. It is time for you to rise up, wherever place you are coming from, to ensure that if these MPs vote this thing today and ensure that it passes, deal with them mercilessly from the areas they are coming from.
Do you see the protest persisting, and for how long?
Even if the process do not persist, they will erupt again, because there is still so much to be done in this country. This is not the end, this is not the last. They will still persist. Right. And they will still come. Last year it was me on the streets. It was me on the streets. This year it's the JZ. Maybe next year it is Alpha. So they are going to persist as long as this government continue dealing with this impunity, taxes and imposing on Kenyans. Demonstrations, agitation will always continue, and is going to continue in large scale.
Right.
Yes.
Call your final word.
And if you can see today, I look very presidential.
With the counter suit. I almost confused you with the head of state. Yeah.
At least I'm not here as a counter woman, but what I want to give out there as the youth president, now I'm speaking as in my capacity as the youth president and in Kaunda. This is an attire ya kutenga, and it's a message to the government and the executive and the parliament and all those politicians who are trying to be tough-headed out there. Leo tumetenga siku kadhaa ya maandamano iwapo hii serikali haitasikia matakwa ya wananchi.
Right.
And the youths who are going out there, yeah. I'll say that kindly go out, demonstrate peacefully and unarmed, and ensure that any officer who tries to kill any of your youths, document. We shall revisit. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. Willis Koyo, my immediate right, who's a governance expert, thank you for your company this morning, as well as John Mukoya of Movement for Defense of Democracy, which is allied to the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time this morning. And of course, all eyes will be at the Member of Parliament, on the members of parliament actually, as they vote on these clauses within the Finance Bill 2024. Will they listen? Well, that's a wait and see, as we've got that wall-to-wall coverage that will be bringing you, as well as what will be happening in the capital city of Nairobi, where it is, the central place for the demonstrations, but also in other parts of the country. So keep it. EBN TV will be bringing you those details as and when we get them across the day. So thank you for watching. My name is Cynthia Najala. Have yourself a wonderful morning.
Thank you.